red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose. And if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names. They never let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer games. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then all the reindeer loved him as he shouted out with glee, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history. It's terrible. Hello and welcome to this late edition of Wake and Bake News, and I'm your host, Shampoo VTA, Kelly Davis. Hello, and how are you on this Monday? I'm doing well. I'm here staying at my husband's family's home for the holidays, in front of the beautiful fireplace in the lovely warm home, all festive. I have some of this Manischewitz or whatever, Skol, to celebrate drink with you. Cheers, ching ching. I also have a dab or two ready to go. And my son has rolled up a Christmas joint. Got just a little bit of this dab left. Re-upping later today, hopefully. I was hoping to do it before, but my connection is in LA right now. I hope you like my rendition of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I know it was very good. I had to learn it really quick. I'm following along. I'm actually watching a lady play the song and trying to play along with her so I don't screw it up. Not a huge dab, but a dab nonetheless. Here, you guys, there's enough for the two of you to split that little bit left. The arms come in from outside. All right, and then we'll start your candy cane joint after you guys finish with your dab, and I'll do this till you come back. Okay, so our first story today is California cities rush to ban pot shops as state deadline looms, which is kind of not really what the headline is. More like what the real headline is that California made a mistake. California cities rush to ban pot shops. We remember that Ventura County, where I live, Ventura, the city of Ventura proper, has banned pot shops and marijuana growing here, right? Dispensaries. I found out the growing is because I guess it's so difficult to get regulations done that they don't want to deal with that either. So they just basically don't want to deal with anything. And they were jumping the gun. I think they knew that they didn't have to rush to get these rules in place. They're doing it as an excuse to get basically what they want, which is they don't want to have to deal with this. So now Santa Paula has done it and a few other locations, and they already had these rules in place, but they're doing this rushing before the May 1st deadline like an excuse so that they get to ignore it now for a while and not have to deal. They're just desperately trying not to have to deal with legalization, and yet somehow make it sound like they're just so concerned about patients. A mistake in drafting new state regulations for medical marijuana in California has cities and counties scrambling to ban or restrict dispensaries before a March 1st deadline, after which they fear more lax state rules may apply. Assemblyman Jim Wood, Democrat, Healdsburg, and author of the legislation setting new rules for the industry, said the deadline was inserted in the bill in error, and he plans emergency legislation next month to remove it from the law. So far, medical cannabis dispensaries have been banned in recent weeks in 19 cities, including Antioch, Artesia, La Cañada, Flint Ridge, Newport Beach, Palm Desert, and Pasadena. Dozens of others, 463 cities in the state, are considering new bans or restrictions, creating panic amongst those who support medical marijuana. In other words, they did fuck up the regulations. And they put in a ban which has now caused all of our local cities, including mine, to panic outright that they're going to get some dispensaries and potheads shoved up their rear ends. So they go back in and reinstill basically something that they put in before, which is this ban, right? And then they say, oh, but we want to be able to service these patients, and this is going to help in the long run. No, in actuality, what happened was they panicked, they didn't know what was going on, or they used this as an excuse to continue with prohibitionist attitudes that they would like to maintain despite what the state is doing. Okay, during the scramble at the end of the legislative session this year, an inadvertent drafting error placed a deadline on local jurisdictions, Wood wrote, in the state's cities and counties. My intent to remove the deadline has bipartisan stakeholder support. Deborah Hoffman, a spokesman for Governor Jerry Brown, confirmed Friday that he was on board for the change. We support the legislative fix, he said. The governor supports allowing local municipalities a reasonable amount of time to come up with regulations that work for their communities. And that also means patience. I don't think that he is indicating that this is an opportunity for local communities to continue to be panic-stricken and fearful that the marijuana monster is coming to get them, all right? So he is not apparently supporting the panic-stricken votes that have been going on, particularly here in Ventura, the city of Ventura proper, banning dispensaries and medical grows. He doesn't support that. He supports a reasonable amount of time to come up with regulations, not bans. See that word? Regulations. That's different than the word of ban, right? This isn't, we're not going to do this. Ventura is not a fucking blue law county. We're not going to be the town that bans dancing. This is not fucking Footloose. Most of us left back east to get away from that kind of stupidity. We didn't come here to, engage in some more or a different version of that kind of idiocy. Okay? The promise of an emergency fix was welcomed by Dale Gingrich, Executive Director of California NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, which supports the legalization of marijuana. This letter should help cool down local officials who have been stampeding to restrict cultivation without adequate consideration. Panic, more like just blind panic. like the lightning struck, and now the herd is just stampeding for the cliff. California voters approved a ballot measure nearly 20 years ago that legalized the sale of medical marijuana to patients in the state. But it was not until October 9th of this year that Brown signed legislation creating state regulations for the growth, transportation, and sale of cannabis. The state law says that local cities and counties can adopt their own rules, and voters in Los Angeles did so in 2013, approving a measure that calls for a sharply reduced number of pot shops as well as taxes on those operating legally. Wood said his hope was to have the emergency legislation signed and take effect before March 1st. If action takes place afterwards, he said he believes there is solid legal ground for cities continuing to have local control once the law is approved. Industry officials say cities should be given more time to consider the pros and cons of various regulatory schemes. When localities rush to ban cannabis activities, they not only deny their patient residents access to compassionate care, they also lose critical tax revenue and open the door for dangerous illicit activity to take root in their communities, said Keith McCarty, chief executive of Ease Solutions, a technology firm that helps medical marijuana patients access pot. Yes, and Ventura just loves the black market. Like I said, if you look at weed maps, there is no lack of dispensaries in this area, and they're bringing weed up from where my friend is right now in LA. So basically, our tax money is being funneled down to LA. So yeah, the people in my area are not incredibly intelligent, and they are quick. They are the knee-jerkiest bunch of people, and oh my God. If it isn't this, then they're over here trying to save their stupid fracking. or this kind of nonsense. Sandbags and subs. Join us for our Super Saturday of sandbags and subs in order to prepare for El Nino. Okay? So they're going to hand out sandbags because everybody is so terrified of this El Nino. And they're going to have subs, which is just really super, like, what? With threats of a Godzilla El Nino coming this winter, Rainbow Restoration would like to share a few simple tips to help you get prepared. Yes, we are expecting this huge El Nino. Look how glossy this is. You know how much a card like this costs to produce? Somebody's getting money. Somewhere money's coming from for this, okay? Because this shiny cardboard thing is not cheap to make right there. That's not a flyer, you know. So yeah, this area is filled with suckers. Trust me. They love to panic about stuff. You're trying to take their guns, their bullets, oh my God, the fracking. Oh dear Lord, some other thing that they're worried about is, you know, in danger. Most ridiculous bunch of people. Okay, so next I'm going to go to, I'm doing kind of short shows because I'm not sure how fast the upload speed is going to be here. And I'm already doing this at 3:18, so I'm going to just do 3 stories today. So the next story is actually super hilarious, and it's more about the stoner sloth that came out of Australia. Okay, so there's this anti-marijuana campaign that's been going around Australia about a stoner sloth. Don't be a stoner sloth. And then it shows kind of this sloth with clawed hands, and it can't speak, and it's in human clothing, and they talk to it, and it's it makes noises like this. And then, of course, it's clawed hands. It's like Edward Scissorhands. It can't pick things up. It can't do anything. So here, once again, here's another terrified, you know, prohibitionist ad, you know, to terrify people, telling us that marijuana so changes your physiological being that you actually transform into a sloth with clawed fingers. which is ridiculous, of course, you know. So this campaign has been out for like a month, but then it hit Reddit last week, and then this weekend it hit the rest of the world. Reddit is where I found it. Let's have this Christmas candy cane joint. Start this, and then I'll show you this hilarious making fun of video. So here is the parody video for Stoner Sloth.
Okay, time's up. Pins down. Delilah. Pins down, Delilah.
It's the motherfucking Eagle Double G. You know I'm out with the D-R-E. Yeah. You know we back up in this motherfucker.
I'm going to read some of this. Okay, so the story for this goes like this. An errant anti-marijuana campaign, Stoner Sloth, has gone viral, albeit perhaps not in the fashion that Australian government authorities wanted it to.
Cry, laugh. The whole world laughs with you.
Cough, and the whole stoner community coughs with you. Okay, after being relentlessly mocked online with the link of the relentless mocking, the campaign, which shows a sloth being stoned in a variety of social situations, has its own Tumblr page and Facebook account. Oh, you go. Its purpose was to encourage kids to stop getting high. Instead, stoners everywhere have been laughing uncontrollably. So far, the compilation video on YouTube has amassed more than 1.6 million views with the hashtag StonerSloth. Oh. Whoever turned it is. It was there, and then it was just gone. Okay, with stoner / hashtag trending. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Oh. Nicely caught. Well caught, sir.
Maybe.
No, you did. You caught that. Oh, no, wait. Well done. Respect other people's homes. Anyway. Okay, so here it says that it turned popular on Twitter and Facebook accounts. Its purpose was to encourage kids to stop getting high. Instead, stoners everywhere have been laughing uncontrollably. So far, the compilation video on YouTube has amassed more than 1.6 million views, with the hashtag StonerSloth trending on Twitter on the weekend, where the campaign's notoriety exploded. Notoriety, I think is what it says, despite being around since November. So this has been around for a month, but it didn't blow up till it hit Reddit. And then everybody's like, what in the hell is that? Really? New South Wales Premier Mike Baird was seemingly unaware of the campaign created by his own team, the New South Wales Department of Premier and Cabinet DPC, expressing his surprise on Saturday. Just saw the Stoner Sloth ad. Not sure where the NSW governor's ad guys found Chewbacca's sibling, but those videos are quite something. Whoever created the ad is not admitted admitting it publicly just yet. Best Ads on TV has a full list of credits affiliated with the Stoner Sloth campaign, and it is believed the ad agency behind the Stachy Australia, according to Ad News. Mashable Australia has contacted the agency for comment. If the creator had performed a quick online search, it would have revealed that Stoner Sloth is the name of a marijuana store in the USA. State of Colorado. Oops. The National Cannabis Prevention and Information Center, NCPIC, has distanced itself from Stoner Sloth, calling for the New South Wales Department of Premier of Cabinet to retract claims its research formed the basis of the campaign. That marijuana turns you into a sloth? Really? Like physically a real sloth? A collection, a classic reaction. A collection of unofficial merchandise has made its way onto the market, including t-shirts, wall art, and bags, featuring the new catchphrase of the Stoner Sloth generation, "Pass the salt." We'd be keen for a plushy toy. Meanwhile, Stoner Sloth has inspired a raft of parody videos, some as hilarious as the original campaign itself. Here are our favorites. And then it lists about 3 or 4, and one of them is the one that I showed you at the beginning. Have something to add to the story? Share it in the comments. I just thought that was so hilarious. Like they tried to do this anti-marijuana thing for kids, and it turned into just a horrifying joke. Okay, and how could it not be? I mean, let's not be ridiculous here. Okay, next story is actually for my friend Ray C., 1962. He provided some information for the marijuana world, so I will show just the beginning of his video right here so you can see. So I actually went and researched and hunted, which was just by putting the name of the headline in the search engine, and I found the actual article so I can read it. So here's the story about Ray C's new business and this small Canada town's reaction to this. After this word from our sponsor. No. Okay, so the federal government hasn't yet legalized marijuana in Canada, but that hasn't stopped a Winnipeg drug dealer. Isn't that sweet they called you a drug dealer? That's so nice. Really? And what's a pharmacist? Winnipeg cannabis delivery person. I'm just going to change that because fuck them with their drug dealer. It's so rude. What a bunch of rude people saying that. Okay, Winnipeg cannabis delivery person from advertising about delivery service. Marijuana, cannabis, delivery service. Why do they like this? Drug, hot, just like that. Just makes them feel all warm and cozy. Let's just call it something, an ugly name, and then I feel better, you know. A flyer circulated in some parts of the city promises to deliver marijuana to cash-paying customers by appointment arranged over encrypted email. Thank you so much. It's unclear how widely the flyers are circulated. Apparently, they don't follow him on his YouTube channel. Isn't it like amazing how they just don't connect these two things? You can see him putting up the flyers. He talks about it on YouTube. You are dummies, you know. Little journalism integrity there, little research, doesn't take much, dude. Wow, slow on the go. Okay, copies have been delivered to some residents' homes, but the Winnipeg Police Service said it hasn't received any complaints. Well, why should they complain? You're taking it straight to their house. It sounds wonderful. The flyer advertises a Winnipeg cannabis delivery service and instructs people to email an encrypted address for more information and to arrange an appointment. When contacted by the Free Press, the person behind the email address, who we all know as Ray C. 1962, wrote that the new venture is a micro business based on activism and not profit. He was very happy that they quoted him, and it was nice of them to quote him. Let's see, and here's a direct quote. I hardly make any money doing this. I do it for the activism. I figured out how to use this encrypted email to protect from getting robbed. I am a micro business and I will not stop. Quote, first off, I hardly make any money. Okay, so this is the quote he basically just said. And here's more quotations from Ray. I'm a freedom activist for love and health over 30 years. I focus on cannabis cause. It's the spearhead for freedom and peace for the world. University of Manitoba criminologist Frank Cormier said he hadn't heard of this kind of drug dealing advertising tactic in Winnipeg before. Just wake up. We'd stop calling things drug dealing. You sound like kids on the playground. If I would have to approach them, excuse me. But that language is no longer appropriate. And I don't know what you say at home, but here amongst other students, it is not appropriate to keep calling people a drug dealer. We all know what you're trying to do. Knock it off, all right? This person is distributing cannabis. Drug dealer is something you came up with. It's like saying other bad words about people just to draw negative connotations. Grow up with your language there. Let's all talk like adults now, you know. I don't mind if you swear. Just don't be like stupid immature about it. You're ugly and you smell funny too. You know, it's just that kind of immature personal attack that has nothing to do with the issue. Move on from your childishness, please. Okay, so University of Manitoba criminologist Frank Cormier said that he had not heard of this kind of cannabis delivery advertising tactic in Winnipeg before. Even when marijuana is legalized, regulation will likely mean it will be sold under the province liquor commission. Oh, gross. Not by a delivery service. Really? Disgusting. Disgusting. That way, I'm not going to Canada. I'm here and sitting in beautiful Southern California right now. And my weed is specifically under delivery. My town insists on it. They will not let a dispensary be here. They will not let marijuana grows exist here. They sure as hell are not going to let it into a store with alcohol. You look insane from where I'm sitting right here in this chair in Southern California, in Ventura. Right now, you look like you're insane. No one would ever let anybody hand out weed in a bar or a liquor store in California. That would be ludicrous. No. Not that it shouldn't be that way, but just even to suggest the thing as a government official makes you look cuckoo from my eyes. That's insane. The government's going to deal drugs. They already are dealing drugs. You're already making a profit off of dealing drugs in Canada? Whoa. No, thank you. Don't want none of that. All marijuana is delivery. Most of all of marijuana is delivery in Southern California now. Look on weed maps. All you see is little tiny trucks. There you go. They drive out to LA. They pick up, you know, it's kind of like other businesses like Amway or something. You buy the product, you warehouse the product, you distribute the product, and you keep the profits, and then you reinvest in your business. And it's creating small businesses for people that don't have jobs here. So I see a lot of young men are getting these jobs because they can't hire women, you know, because they're afraid they'll get rolled or something at the beginning. So anyway, they hire mostly young men, So this is exactly what Ray should be doing, in my opinion. That's what we do here. What the hell are you talking about? Sell it in liquor stores. I mean, that's insane. Whatever. Okay, that just sounds insane. Not by delivery. What? That's insane. No, delivery is the best way to do this. They come to your door. It's private. You know, it's a small business. It's a micro business. And people make a lot of money doing this. You know, they have sales and specials. It's competitive. We can see the merchandise. It is exactly the model that we have just regulated in California. And I talked about that in one of the first, right? The second, the third story, right? No, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. The first story. Duh. Okay, so I talked about that in the first story. That, you know, we're actually regulating that it can only be there by delivery or grow. And then you're doing the exact opposite in Canada. Wow. This is a gigantic fucking mess. How can you even make those two things work? We're on the same continent. We tend to travel up and down, and we have relatives in Canada. You want me to go there and go to a liquor store? Let me give you this experience. Gross. I'm not going to a fucking government liquor store when I'm vacationing in Canada to buy weed. Fuck no. Oh, wow. Gross. Why don't you just give me a rebel flag, too, and a gun? While you're at it. No. So distasteful. Thank you. Maybe while we're buying this weed in your liquor store, we can yell, yeehaw! I mean, no, it's just no. Bad karma. How could you even suggest such a thing? Yeah, it's like selling freaking vegetarian food in the back of a liquor store. Oh yeah, those two things go together. Right. I'm watching my weight, but I'm destroying my liver. Okay, so it sounds like a real bad idea to me, quotation. He said, if these people are in fact selling marijuana, then they are breaking the law. And by putting out a flyer with an email address, they might be telling police where to find them. He said adding police could pose as buyers and make an arrest. You know what? Let me tell you something there. What's this guy's name? Frank Cormier. Let me tell you something, Frank. If your police department can't figure out this guy's making fucking videos on YouTube and is showing himself putting up the flyers, then I ain't too worried about Ray's safety. Thank you very much. You gotta be kidding me. That's hilarious. I'm not sure. This could be dangerous. Every weed tuber on earth is rolling their eyes right now at you, you idiot. We stopped wearing masks a long time ago. Figure it out. You'll figure it out sooner or later. Don't worry, you'll figure it out. This summer, Glenn Pierce was arrested and charged with, and then they throw this in like, oh, and this could happen to you. You know, my mom used to do stuff like this. Don't hitchhike, you know, because the one time you do, you'll be the one killed and raped. She used to do that. That is such an old kind of parenting. And now we'll tell you a scary story about why you shouldn't do this. It's ridiculous. This summer, Glenn Pierce was arrested and charged with drug trafficking offenses after police raided his illegal medical marijuana dispensary on Main Street. He had a physical property. Hello. He opened his business in July and was warned by police 2 weeks later to shut it down. But he continued until his August 4th arrest. The charges are still before the court, and Pierce has vowed to fight them. Kamir said the federal government's plan to legalize marijuana could present some challenges for police in dealing with impaired drivers. Oh, more fear-mongering. This guy's just, I bet he's fun at parties. I bet he's just a peach at parties. Let me tell you about why all you are going to die on your way home tonight. Enjoy those drinks, people. I bet he's just a fun guy to have around. And that one's a witch, okay? I know. This guy needs to take a nap or something. He's got an issue. Kamir said that the federal government's plans to legalize marijuana could present some challenges for police in dealing with impaired drivers. There's no breathalyzer test for cannabis, although police do employ various other types of roadside tests for drivers they suspect are high, like looking at them and talking to them. It's amazing what you can figure out when you actually approach someone and actually look at them and do your job. You can actually figure out that somebody is a little too impaired to drive. You don't need magic or a wand or breathalyzers or anything. It just takes a minute of a police officer's time, to do the right thing. That's it. Not hard. Police all over North America, at least over the past decade or so, they've been charging fewer and fewer people with marijuana offenses, Cormier said, which kind of debunks all of your fear-mongering that you just told us. If it's a small amount, the tendency might be to just take it away from them, destroy it in their own personal way, and let people go on their way. Yeah, no corruption ever happens there, I'm sure. The Winnipeg Police Service has declined to comment until it sees the new legislation. In other words, no, we ain't gonna fuck with this, and they're smart not to do that. And then afterwards, you can decide what needs to be done. But delivery services, oh, come on. What am I saying? Look at Weed Maps. Look at California. You will see millions you'll see big ones. And then as you zoom in at California, you'll just see a million little trucks that are just running everywhere. And why? Because you're not going to put up borders and inspect every car that comes into every single county. So guess what? You can't stop it. It's ridiculous. That's why the delivery services are not just thriving, they're exploding. Look at Weed Maps. There were only 3 available in this area within the last year and a half. And now there's got to be at least 15. Their brilliant blocking dispensary idea over here. Okay. Until I know what the government's intends to do, I can't say whether I'm for it or against it, said Association President and Saskatoon Police Chief Sybil Wayhill. I'm confident that the federal government will come up with a regulatory framework that will be comfortable for all involved. He said the association, which has about 1,000 members, represented police agencies across Canada in monitoring the effect of marijuana legalization in Colorado and Washington state. It really is too early to say what some of the upside is, or what some of the downturn may be, he said. Just look at Colorado. I mean, this is not brain surgery. Seriously, this is not rocket science. What this person is doing is perfectly fine. And good for them, because I know them. Hello. Good for them that they're making some money off of prohibition, stupid idiot prohibition. If you make a prohibition, then, he's not making money, but he's got a business, he's doing something with his life. Not making money. He's probably getting weed. That's probably what it is. I don't think the Winnipeg police are going to figure out that it's Ray anytime soon either, even if I stand here in California and trumpet it. Somehow, I just don't have faith in their deductive reasoning abilities there. We don't know who this guy is. Wow. He only makes videos all the time. People only talk about him on their other videos all the time. Virtual Toke, it's for him. Hello. You're asleep at the wheel. Don't even know what's going on. All right. So our last story is, of course, our more California gold, which is kind of a recap on things we already know, but there's, it's building to a wonderful crescendo. So let's throw. Okay, so that was California Gold, right? Okay, so basically what I heard was that at a meeting, even Steve D'Angelo says that he's going in with Sean Parker's initiative. That, you know, it isn't perfect, but he's going to side with it. And so now that's two of the major dispensaries, including the one that supported Prop 19 and that entire board that was supporting the competing initiative, joining in on Sean Parker. So all the ducks are lining up very nicely for this. Okay, so California City's rush. Oh, I'm sorry, that's wrong. Reading the wrong one, Kelly. Okay, this is alternate. The smoke has cleared on the project to legalize marijuana in the Golden State. Now, I want to stop right there for a second, and I want to note the word project. I have not heard this word used before to talk about legalization. What I have heard was experiment. Remember that word? Always thrown around, how this was an experiment, even though it was legal for years and people used it as medicine for years until these idiots tricked Congress into voting against it, right? Okay, so I've not heard the word project before. That's new, and words matter. So what does this new word mean in this war? Does it mean that the experiment is over? The smoke is cleared on the project to legalize marijuana in the Golden State. Cannabis power players in California have come together. After several years of jostling since the defeat of Proposition 19 in 2010, the smoke is cleared in California, and it now appears that a single, well-funded marijuana legalization initiative will go before the voters next November. That vehicle is the California Control, Tax, and Regulate Adult Use of Marijuana Act, or AUMA. Backed by Silicon Valley tech billionaire Sean Parker, Weedmaps head Justin Hartfeld, Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom, Democrat, and growing cast of state and national players. Now, remember when I was saying take a look at Weedmaps and look at California and look at the huge plethora of little trucks that drive marijuana to people's houses and deliver weed to them, or anywhere that they need weed delivered, basically. Okay, and who's going to go searching those trucks? Well, Weedmaps is helping to fund the bill for legalization. Look, Canada, seriously, do you want to play in this game, or do you want to be a gigantic joke? Because this market is going to develop much faster than you expected, and you're going to look foolish trying to, what are you going to do? I mean, how is this going to look high-end or professional or even medical? It's going to look sketchy and cheap, and like government cheese is what it's going to look like. Now, I agree that the government dispensaries are going to stick around, but they certainly cannot compete with the rules that are imposed on them. They're going to be obliterated on a world market, you know, and don't think that after this is legalized in California, it's going to remain illegal in the United States for much longer. And then after that, the UN. AUMU has sucked all of the air out of the room for other proposed initiatives, most notably the measure from the California Coalition of Cannabis Policy Reform California, which had been widely assumed to be the effort around which the state's various cannabis factions could coalesce. Okay. Instead, more than half of the Reform California board members have now endorsed AUMA, including Oaksterdam University founder and Prop 19 organizer Richard Lee, California Cannabis Industry Association Director Nate Bradley, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, LEAP, head Neil Franklin, Students for Sensible Drug Policy, Deputy Director Stacy Constaner, and Dr. Bonner's Magic Soap head David Bonner, That move came earlier this month after proponents of AUMA amended their initial proposal to provide safeguards against child abuse and, and protections for workers. Some businesses and local governments that also bring it closer in line with Newsom's Blue Ribbon Commission on Marijuana Policy. These amendments reflect a collaborative process of public and expert engagement and make an extremely strong measure even stronger. Donald O. Lehman, the measure's lead proponent, said in a statement, "This measure now includes even more protections for children, workers, small business, and local governments, while ensuring strict prohibition on marketing to kids and monopoly practices." We have carefully reviewed amendments submitted by the proponents of the AUMA, and we're convinced it's time to endorse that initiative. And until everyone behind a single consensus measure to achieve a legal regulated system, which a majority of voters have consistently said they want, Bonner said in a statement. Here's what the AUMA would do. Local control, cities and counties can regulate or totally prohibit commercial marijuana cultivation, processing, sales, and delivery, but they can't ban deliveries. But they can't ban deliveries merely passing through their jurisdiction. They can they can't ban even personal outdoor grows, they can ban personal outdoor grows, but not indoor ones. So they will allow deliveries to pass through areas, which means there'll be delivery. And if they don't allow it in their jurisdiction, then they're just cutting themselves out of tax money and sucking their money into a different jurisdiction, which I know that people in Ventura will scream their heads off once they figure that out, that those idiots are just funneling money out of the town and not getting any kind of taxes. It's like this total business going on that the town's like not even included in. There are too much gatekeepers to let that pass. And then to ban outdoor grows, I can understand that. But not being able to ban indoor ones is excellent, because I got a nice huge garage. We got a little bit of property, so that's not a problem. But for people who are poor, this is a problem, because if they ban dispensaries, then the poor people have to rely on delivery and mere grows, and that means that the black market will happen more here like it is now, because in order to use a delivery, you have to pay like $45 up. You have to be able at the beginning you're spending $45 to get that guy to come out there, So they've got great deals and wonderful things, but poor people are only going to want to spend like $20, and there ain't a delivery service going to come to your door for $20 around here that I'm aware of. Okay, so personal possession. Adults 21 and over can possess up to an ounce or 8 grams of concentrate. And of course, I've heard some people scream their heads off, that's not enough. Look, this will probably change in the future. Right now we're dealing with, we can vote, all right, for more if it's necessary, but right now we're dealing with a bunch of like freaky people that are panic stricken. Oh my God, the marijuana's coming, it's gonna be marijuana drivers, oh my God, turning into sloths, and they're gonna freak out, I'm telling you. So you gotta play it kind of close to the chest and keep things low key, because if they even think that you're gonna have fun, they're going to freak out, seriously. Fun! Yeah. You gotta be like grudging about it. Ash. Thank you. All right. So social consumption localities may allow on-site marijuana consumption at designated businesses. Personal cultivation adults can grow up to 6 plants per household if the localities don't ban personal outdoor grows. Also, landlords maintain the right to ban cultivation or even possession on their property, growers can possess all the fruits of their harvest. So all the fruits of their harvest means, I think, if it's more than whatever the limit is for a patient or a person, that if you grew it, you could put it in your house, and that means bales. And whatever you make from it is yours. They're not. It's not like, you know, the state's going to come and take, you know, the extra. Ride in on horses, put it in the back of a wagon at gunpoint. Yeah, this is the government's. You have too much. Yeah, they're not going to do that. Okay. Social consumption. Localities may allow on-site marijuana consumption. Public consumption not allowed. Taxation, a 15% excise tax on marijuana products, plus state and local sales tax, plus a $9.25 an ounce cultivation tax on buds, and a $2.75 one on leaves. Also, counties may impose additional taxes subject to a popular vote. Regulation. The state's agencies empowered to regulate medical marijuana under this year's 3-bill regulation package have their briefs extended to include non-medical marijuana as well. Licensing provides tiered licensing based on business types and size, but to protect small businesses bars the to protect small business bars the insurance of the largest tier of cultivation license for 5 years. In other words, they're not going to let any large growers come in for 5 years to let the small growers get established first, and create a special license tier for micro businesses. Employee drug testing still allowed. Criminal offenses: possession of more than an ounce, cultivation of more than 6 plants, unlicensed sales, and possession for sale are still all 6 months misdemeanors, reduced from felonies, although they can still be charged as felonies in some cases. This past weekend, AUMA picked up the support of Tim Blake, organizer on the Emerald Cup in Santa Rosa, which this year drew a record crowd to the annual Growers Competition trade show. I'm going to endorse this thing, Blake told activists, assembled for the legalization debate. Okay. His endorsement drew a mixed reaction from the crowd, many of whom want to see a more wide open form of legalization. That's a sentiment that's shared by some prominent figures in the state's marijuana community. Dale Gingrich, a Reform California board member and longtime head of California NORML, is one of them. This is like 60% legalization, he said. Some people on the board endorsed it, but I don't endorse, and Cal NORML doesn't endorse it. We're a consumer organization, and from a standpoint of consumers, the AUMA is the worst drafted one. He said, ticking off a list of issues. Cities can still ban dispensaries, deliveries, and outdoor cultivations, he noted, and it makes it illegal to consume publicly. There are a lot of medical marijuana users in San Francisco where the only legal place they can smoke is the street, and it treats vaping like smoking, which is totally outrageous and unjustified in our opinion. These are all major disappointments, he said. You know, I that's what I'm saying, is that yes, it's clearly cuts out the poor, and it's up to the localities of whether they want to still go after the poor, or, you know, they're still going to be using marijuana as the thing that, you know, to get them off the street, and because they're unsightly. Well, it's California. You wouldn't believe how full of that bullshit we are. This was an opportunity for California to move ahead of the rest of the county, but instead they blew it with excessive language. This is 60 pages of text. We'll be looking at years and years of litigation. That doesn't necessarily mean Cal NORML will oppose it, Gingrich said. If it ends up being the only one on the ballot in November, I suspect we would support it, he concluded. At this point, that looks likely to be the case. None of the other initiatives are showing any sign that they have the organization or the funding to go out and get the 365,000 valid voter signatures needed to make the ballot. Gingrich also concluded that passage of AUMA would be progress. If it passes, it would be three valuable things. It would do three valuable things, he said. Adults can grow 6 plants and possess an ounce. Just allowing for personal use is extremely important. The AUMA decreases mandatory felony penalties for cultivation or possession with intent to sell down to a misdemeanor in most cases. And that's important. And it establishes a legal marketplace for adult use. AUMA may not be perfect, but unless Californians are willing to go another election cycle or wait for the legislation to legalize it, this is most likely what they'll have a chance to vote for. It's now or never. And besides, the other issues like the cities banning, the cities are going to have to fall in line because they're going to be watching the money drive through their towns all the time. Oh, there goes another one of these delivery trucks. You know, I hear they're making a lot of money at that over there and that other. You know, people are going to start saying, hey, we want a piece of the action. These are a bunch of creepy gatekeepers. Trust me, they're going to be drawn to the money. All right, so that's pretty much the end of my show for today. And it turned out to be a little longer than I expected. I figure, you know, that I'll see how the upload goes. And if it's okay, then I won't be worried about the rest of the week having longer shows. Otherwise, I'll have to be careful because I'm in a different place and using different Wi-Fi. And it's slower. Okay. And I'm going to leave you with a funny little clip I made because Token Daily has moved to Hawaii, and I've talked about that before. And he's been taking these videos out in the jungly areas, and that's what I signed up for, Token. That's what I want to see. That's awesome. Spiders were a little trippy. Be careful of some of that wildlife out there. You know, I don't want to see Token Daily with like I don't know, an anaconda wrapped around him or something. He's trying to smoke a bowl. But like to see the amazing flora and fauna, yes. Oh, and be careful. Don't just go swimming or sliding down just any old, you know, they have these waterfalls and they drop down into these pools. Be careful because they can create a really nasty whirlpool and suck you down, I hear, and hold you down. So be careful with some of the water features there. Ask the locals before you start jumping in there. It kind of, I heard a story about this guy drowning. It was so scary, you know, and he was a really strong guy. So be careful of some of the things that might be there that you're not aware of. But it's so pretty, and I'm so impressed that I decided to make this beautiful meditative Token Daily video for the end of my show, which I will play now. So I will see you tomorrow, and I will hopefully be re-upped with some more fun things for Christmas and here in the beautiful family home. And so hopefully I'll see you tomorrow, and you stay high and goodbye, and I'll leave you with this video.